Councilmember Natalie Archibald. See here, she might have stepped in the back. Councilmember-elect Andrea Boone. Let's give her a big round of applause. Come on up, Andrea, say a word. They haven't heard from you in this capacity. Let's give her a big round of applause. Come on. We don't have a mic, but go ahead.
To my high school friend, Keisha Lance Bottoms, we're going to put you in. We're going to put you in as the next mayor of Atlanta because you have earned it. You have earned it. We're going to put you in. Keisha Lance Bottoms for mayor.
All right. Next we have Ivory Lee Young, Council District 3. Come on up, Ivory.
Go ahead, you can applaud. You know, they say the West Side is the best side.
That's right.
You know, they say the West Side is the best side. So this council member of 16 years only feels comfortable supporting one candidate for mayor right now, and that's Keisha Lance Bottoms. We've hired unprecedented numbers of people that come from the West Side, real-time jobs. We've supported education. We've supported our senior citizens on the West Side. Keisha Lance Bottoms, in the legislative capacity in 16 years of the candidates running for office, has done far more than her opponent, far more. She hasn't just sat in living rooms. She just hasn't returned phone calls. She's gotten active and engaged in the legislative process in dialogue, not just with her colleagues, but with the executive branch. So I can't see supporting anyone in the mayor's office right now other than Keisha Lance Bottoms for mayor right now. If you want progress, you'll support Keisha Lance Bottoms. And that's not just for the West Side. That's North, South, East, and West. Support Keisha Lance Bottoms.
All right, thank you, Ivory. Let's give him a big round of applause. All right, we've got now this young man, and he's really not that young because he's been a seasoned elected official and has gone out to be an attorney now. He is the grandson of our former president, President Jimmy Carter. Jason Carter, come on up, Jimmy.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm honored to be here. I got a little bit to say. I hope that's all right.
Take your time.
Some of my best friends in politics, frankly, on the other side of this race. And I respect them. But let me tell you why I support Keisha Lance Bottoms. At this moment in our country's history, I wake up almost every day and I look at the news and I can't believe what's going on. Every day I feel like we're fighting for what it means to be an American. Every day I feel like we're fighting because something I cherish is under attack. And at this moment in our country's history, in these battles that we fight every day, the mayor of Atlanta's voice is too important to put it at risk. The mayor of Atlanta really is the crown jewel. It's the most progressive voice in the state of Georgia. It's the most progressive, important voice in the South, and it's one of the most important progressive voices in this country. This election is bigger than our city. In this age of Donald Trump, this election, and in those battles that we fight every day, this election matters. And that's why you see national leaders like Kamala Harris, like Elizabeth Warren, who are out here begging the people of this city to elect the right candidate. I live in Candler Park. I love my neighborhood. I love my children's public school. And if I thought that Keisha wouldn't treat my neighborhood well, I wouldn't support her. But I know she will be there for Candler Park. I know she'll be there for all of our neighborhoods. But she will also be there every time to stand up for our values, to represent us every day, to stand up to the president and others on those broader issues that we all care about. Climate change, discrimination, healthcare, education, welcoming immigrants, avoiding division, destructive tax policy that has such harmful impacts on our poorest citizens. On these issues, Keisha will never have divided loyalties. And I know this because I saw it with my own eyes. When I ran for governor, there were 687,000 Georgians that had no health coverage because we refused as a state to expand Medicaid. We fought to expand Medicaid for those 687,000 Georgians, and Keisha fought right there with us. And just as important, just as important as that is that her opponent refused. Again, Keisha will never have divided loyalties. She will always stand with us. Let me say a word about corruption. Like many of you, I've been embarrassed and disappointed by the indictments that have come down in the current City Hall corruption scandal. But I've also been embarrassed and disappointed in the number of people who are willing to assume with no facts whatsoever that Keisha is somehow complicit. There is literally no evidence, none, that Keisha has been involved in any of these activities that have been rightfully investigated. And almost every day, we sit around in this town and we beg politicians in Washington, let's make choices based on actual facts. I'm asking you to do that here now also. The facts are Keisha is committed to rooting out corruption. Read her ethics policy. Read it. It is talking about drastic action to make this city more transparent, to make it more accountable, not only to root out the corruption that the federal investigators have found, but even the appearance of corruption in the city contracting. She is ready to tackle that. Not one of her campaign contributors will get a city contract without independent vetting. That is far more than her opponent has ever agreed to do. And she'll do it. Given the names that she has been called in this election, the things that she has been accused of with no evidence. Now imagine that for a minute. Imagine the injustice that you feel. She will tackle this problem. She will restore the transparency and accountability that this city needs. I've also heard, and I don't mean to get the amplification right now, but I've also heard that she's too close with the current mayor. Let me say this. Current mayor and I don't always see eye to eye. But Keisha Lance Bottoms is not Kasim Reed. And the idea that she is somehow weak or somehow a puppet is offensive to me. Sometimes it seems that people take the most superficial things that there are about Keisha. They look at them and they make judgments without looking at the facts. But I'll tell you the facts. Talk to her. Read her story. Understand where she came from. Understand the adversity that she has faced in her life, where she was, where she is today, and decide for yourself if you think she's her own person. Again, let's make these choices based on facts. I'll conclude with this. This election is important to all of us. The mayor of Atlanta is important not just to this city, but to this country and to the world. Keisha Lance Bottoms has proven to be the right person for that job, and I hope that you'll all join me in supporting her. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you. We also are joined by State Representative Pat Gardner. Pat, you want to say a word?
Thank you very much. As chair of the City of Atlanta delegation across the street there under the Gold Dome, we have a lot of discussions, and the people across the street depend on the leadership and the progressive voice, unified voice of all the people who live in the City of Atlanta. Keisha's a mother, and as a mother and a grandmother and a person with friends to whom I am very loyal, I think it's important that we stay together, hold our city together so that we can march across the street together with a strong progressive voice. Most of us know this is a time for strong, unified, multicultural voices. And what we have today is a smart, independent, Mayor Keisha Bottoms. Will you join me in voting for her?
Thank you, Representative. We also have the Honorable Kathy Ash. Kathy?
My message is vote for Keisha and don't spend a lot of time doing anything else between now and Tuesday.
All right. Thank you. Vote for Keisha is our message. We also have Representative David Dreyer. David, would you like to say a word? Come on up, David.
Thank you, Kwanzaa. I'm not going to say too much. Things have been said that were really important. I know you've heard them. But before I endorsed Keisha Lance Bottoms, she called me on a Sunday afternoon, and I was able to ask her about these corruption allegations. And I told her, I've looked carefully at innuendo after innuendo after innuendo, and I haven't found anything, but I want to hear it from you. Would you please tell me? And look, I've been through a campaign. I've been called some things, so I understand. But tell me, and she told me exactly what I needed to hear. She told me there is no corruption. In fact, she's gone further than that. She's been transparent. She's proposed an ethics overhaul for our city that we need, and I know she can lead it. But beyond that criteria, the thing I really want, I live in South Atlanta right now. My district runs from Inman Park all the way to the southeast corner of Atlanta and over to Hateville and East Point, and I care about equity. Equity is so important. At the Capitol, I co-chair a committee on affordable housing. And I want you to know that in Fulton County, there are 5,000 evictions a week. Evictions. We're losing 250,000 people a year from evictions, which destroys families, fabrics, communities, doesn't allow students to get through school. And I see that we're losing so much of what's important about our neighborhoods on a daily basis. And Keisha Lance Bottoms' experiences growing up in South Atlanta, raising a family in South Atlanta, and her commitment to these issues of equity is what's the most important thing to me, and it's really what's most important to a lot of the voters that I talk to. So I'm very proud to support you, and I look forward to you being mayor.
Thank you, Representative. We also are joined by Fulton County Commissioner Marvin Arrington. Is Marvin still here? Marvin, want to say a word? I know you're Douglas High School Astro.
Yes, definitely proud to be here today to support my fellow Astro alumni, Keisha Lance Bottoms, for mayor. She is the most competent and most qualified candidate for mayor, and I'm happy to support her. Had the pleasure of working with her at the Atlanta Fulton County Recreation Authority, and her work ethic and her diligence is unsurpassed. And so I am again proud to be here with you today, Keisha. Thank you for offering yourself to serve the citizens of Atlanta. And I and all of us look forward to seeing you as the 60th mayor of Atlanta. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have school board member Byron Amos. Byron, you want to say a word? We know the schools are our partners as well.
Definitely, you know, it's unusual that someone is in a runoff himself definitely come out and support another candidate, but I had to be here because when the school system reach across the street for partnership, we need to see a familiar face. We need to see someone who believes in public education because she came from public education. Right. We need to believe and see someone who understands that when my young black men that are only walking to school, there is a possibility, and it does exist, racial profiling in the city of Atlanta. Her opponent doesn't believe in that. We need to understand that when it comes to a mayor improving public education, it's not the mayor needs to take over the system, but it's more so the mayor needs to ensure that the dilapidated housing and the vacant lots that our children walk past every day are taken care of. They need to understand that in order to strengthen the school system, we need to strengthen the families that feed into our school system. And there's only one candidate that I truly believe and that will get my vote on Tuesday. And that's Keisha Lance Bottoms for that job.
Thank you, Representative. All right, so we've got 3 more speakers, and I'd like to bring up my colleague, Michael Bond. I'm sorry, Mike, I didn't bring you up earlier. Would you like to say a word briefly? Come on, Mike, there's no way you could not. Didn't you go to that other school?
I went to the only high school in Atlanta, Frederick Douglass High School. There's lots of Astros here today, but this is about all of Atlanta. And I'm just going to be really brief and tell you a quick story. When the first time that there was a woman considered for the role of mayor in Atlanta, the great Maynard Holbrook Jackson said that person had the kind of experience that was not like any other person in the race. That history is repeating itself today. Yes. It's not about, when you talk about corruption at City Hall, you don't challenge it with congeniality. You challenge it with competency. When you want to represent Atlanta from all its 4 corners, you want someone that has a truly Atlanta story. Keisha Lance Bottoms is that story of Atlanta. It's not only about making sure that everybody gets to the polls and vote, because all elections are about the future of our city. All elections are about bringing people, a diverse crowd here today to support Keisha Lance Bottoms. It's not a hidden agenda. It's not people reaching back to try to grab what they had in the past. It's not about the bitterness and the acrimony that has punctuated this election season. It's about the competency, the career path that this woman has been on. Let me tell you a little bit about my friend Keisha Lance Bottoms. When she was at Douglas High School, she was much younger than I was. I helped her cross the street to make sure she got there safely. But in all seriousness, look at this woman. Experienced career person, a lawyer, a judge. And you're going to talk about corruption? She was a judge. She has been a council person. She has been a public executive. She is a mother, and she will be a dynamic mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, on Tuesday, vote for my friend, my leader, the Honorable Keisha Lance Bottoms, as the 60th mayor of the city of Atlanta. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. All right. And we've got two more speakers, and both are special guests, honestly. One made an official endorsement of another candidate, but before I bring him up, I'm going to bring up my good friend who has been a stalwart in our community in terms of giving back, coming up from very humble beginnings, but being a success, a shining example of what your dreams can become if you just believe in yourself. That's none other than T.I. Come on up, my brother.
What's going on? I'm not going to waste y'all time. I'm going to get straight to it, all right? When I think about Atlanta, the history of Atlanta, my home, your home, our home, I think about diversity. I think about progression. I think about strength. And I think about caring, okay? In Atlanta, this is one of the only metropolises, and I was here, I mean, I was born here, you know, and it wasn't a metropolis when I was coming up, and that might be a little bit, not as long as, you know, you was coming up. But listen, this is one of the only metropolises that you can come to and people actually care. You know, where you can actually speak to your neighbor, where you can actually have dialogue with your government, your local government. And this is what we need to maintain in this city, because Keisha cares about the community, not because it's her job to care about the community. She cares because she is of the community. To serve the community as best as one can, you must be sensitive to the needs of that community. And how can you be sensitive to the needs of the community if you've never been there?
Come on, Tim.
How do you know the plight of the people who live in these neighborhoods if you've never set foot in them? I truly support Keisha because I have witnessed over time, I have seen her grow up the ranks in her political career. And I can honestly say, first of all, the allegations of her being a puppet for anyone, I don't know a black woman you could tell anything about what to do. That's the first thing. You know, I don't know much about politics, but I spent all my life around black women. I've never met one, and you can just tell them what to do when they do it quietly. I don't even understand how that is considered any way possible, you know. And also, I truly feel that I know for a fact in my heart that she is sincerely passionate about the needs of all citizens in our city. I know that there will be no stone unturned when it comes to education. There will be no stone unturned when it comes to making sure that our police force is policing our communities as they should, and looking out for the citizens and not themselves. I have no doubt in my mind that Keisha will turn no blind eye to corruption in whatever form of government there is. I believe that she is fair. I believe that she is more than competent, overqualified, and I think that she has proven that throughout the years, her years of service. Now, I want you to understand when I said service. Okay, that's what this is about. This is about someone who we are electing to get into a position to serve this city. Not someone who's looking to benefit from this city. Someone who's looking to serve this city. Now, I don't know much about the other candidate, and don't get me wrong. One thing that I do know, I watched it was a debate, I believe it was, and I saw a question that was posed, and they asked, did she support Agent Orange, Donald Trump? That denouncement never came. I'm still watching. I haven't seen it. Now, we all remember what it was like waking up last November, that next day. We all remember how we felt, that gut-wrenching, disgusting feeling that we had to be associated with such slime. We don't want to repeat that now. I don't want to wake up like that again. We're not going to have another morning like that. And there's a lot of people up here who have experience in voting, who have experience in serving the community. But I believe this election will be decided by the millennials, the young people. You guys have a voice. You guys make a difference. You guys have to get up, get out, and claim your city. Just saying you from Atlanta ain't enough no more. All of the things that we hold near and dear to our hearts, our culture is being threatened. There are some things that we stand for here in this city that are not agreed upon by the opposing candidate. Whether it is us being considered Black Hollywood. There's a lot of people who they frown upon them. They don't want to see as many entrepreneurs, minority millionaires, multimillionaires. They don't want to see the entertainment division, the sports division, and our community leaders working together. They think that we should be separated. They think that they should not be considered one and the same. That day and age has passed. It is a new day. This is our city. This is our time. We must support people who we know will support us. And that is why I am standing with Keisha Lance Bottoms. Thank you.
All right. Tia, I think you got another career in you. You're going to be standing on these steps one day doing something different. And you know you can't tell a black woman what to do. We know this. They will tell us, my brother, as we know. Our next speaker is my good brother and friend, Killer Mike. This brother has done some great things all over the world. Join me and welcome him up to the podium, please.
How you doing? All right, how y'all doing? I'm not going to take too much time, but I'm going to say what I say in very honest fashion because I've been having these conversations for the last year with black people in particular. I'm going to say black and working class people. We're going to get that out the way. And so on the other side of that camera, black Atlanta, I'm talking to you. Working class Atlanta, I'm talking to you. Well, what does that mean, Mike? That means if you live on the west side, your grandma did, your mama did, East Atlanta, all that, formerly Kirkwood, I'm talking to you. That means if you used to live in Cabbagetown, or if you were white and used to could afford to live in southeast Atlanta, and now they've been pushed out of Jonesboro to Jonesboro, out of Cabbagetown, we don't know where those good people went. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the people who Dr. King was talking to his last 2 years of life. I'm talking to the worker class, which makes up every race and ethnicity, makes up every sex, and I'm talking specifically to black Atlanta. Black Atlanta, you have a responsibility you have faltered on. Your responsibility is to be the test for how America's doing. So when I hear, well, you know, the greatest wealth disparity in any city is in a rich city like Atlanta, I say, you know what, America has to fix that problem too. We can't just be the shadow of America. We have to be the example for America. We have to make sure that communities like the Collier Heights can happen now. We have to make sure that public schools like Frederick Douglass, Benjamin E. Mays can be rivals. Do you understand the significance of what I just said? I said you have a school system that's named for 70% African American leaders and entrepreneurs. That gives you an incredible confidence that most of the world didn't feel till they met a guy named Obama. They met Obama, all man, kids is named Obama, schools is named Obama. You have had the pleasure, black Atlanta, for having that feeling for 40 some odd years, and now you waste it. You have wasted it for 40 different candidates.
Or should they take 9 credits, which is going to increase the amount of time?
Be city council president, we'll get you in there. But when my friend stepped down, he did the right thing. He pivoted to a product of the people. And we're going to get back to the because I'm not just up here shucking and jiving for a candidate because I need something. I'm already rich and I rap for a living. I'm up here telling black Atlanta and worker class Atlanta, meaning you ain't got to be black, but your check feel black at the end of the week. I'm talking to you if you want someone. And we know I supported Vincent Ford first because he was the most radical. And I'm always support the most radical. But if you didn't choose my guy, I'm going to pivot to what's next and best. And what's next and best is a product of radicalism. What's a product of radicalism, Michael? A woman whose father was a musician and a drug user and went to jail. But his DNA produced a child that went to the Collier Heights when she was poorer than the other kids. Because if you know anything about the Collier Heights, that's where rich Negroes live. And I grew up right in the little A-frame houses that surround those big old houses. Billy McKinney's house, Herman Russell's house. But because there was a true black middle class, kids like us could be educated in a way that was top tier. And then she went to Frederick Douglass. Named for the most photographed person of the 19th century. Named for one of the greatest black philosophers and greatest Americans. And when you got to that school, the first thing you would give it was his autobiography and told her, read it. You say, this not on the core Sibulus. And they would tell you, Negro, you're not in the core Sibulus, you're in Frederick Douglass. You read this autobiography, and that autobiography says to you, without struggle, there is no progress. And I refuse to, after 40 some odd years of successful struggle, to give the progress over to anyone but a product of a revolution. This is the product of Maynard Jackson. This is the product of Andrew Young. This is the product of Shirley. It's the product of Bill, and it is the product of Kasim, because they have held standard, no matter if you like them or not. I don't care how you feel about Kasim Reed, because he's gone. And we got to worry about the next 4 to 8 years. No matter what you say, when you land in Atlanta, you see an all-black crew working. When you check in a hotel, you see black boys grabbing your bags. And if you ain't never traveled anywhere, you don't see that everywhere. That's right. When you got the third most corporations of any city in the United States and you're a black-led city, that means something. That's not Detroit. That's not Compton. That's not Watts. That's not rebuilding or gentrifying like Harlem. That means you stayed your place and you made it. And now you take the product of what made it, and I dare you put her up against someone else and say, prove yourself. She's a product of the Collier Heights. Right. She's a product of Frederick Douglass, a product of FAMU. You can't keep going on TV saying, Trump, treat us right. And you don't put your best products forward. Your absolute best you've made. You got little daughters you're going to tell, be Michelle Obama. Marry you a good man and let them overlook your intelligence. And repeatedly, that woman had to assert herself. Hey, I'm a lawyer. Don't get me messed up. This is your Michelle Obama. We can elect her now. You don't have to see her on her husband's arm. You don't have to depend on nobody to shuck and jive for her. She has earned the credentials. She has earned the credentials in elementary school, because Collier Heights was not an easy school to get out of. Shouts out to Roscoe Twigs. She earned her credentials at Frederick Douglass High School, because Lester Butts and Dr. Hill was not easy guys to get by. And she earned it at FAMU. Got a law degree at Georgia State. How can you not vote for the person you know? I know you. Even if I've never met you, I know your pedigree, your neighborhood, your pastor, your church, your school. I refuse to vote for a stranger. I don't care if you came by my grandmama old folks home and you kissed on the cheek. I don't give a damn if you used to work in black radio. Are you a product of black and worker class Atlanta? And if you ain't, I'll shake your hand up. You see the council meeting? Tell you I'll see you next time. This is my mayor, Keisha Lance Bottoms. I want people to know this too. I was one of those 15-year-old thugs that Reverend James Orange put in a van. And Reverend Orange took me. I wasn't really no thug, just wanted to be. Ashamed I was smart. And he took some real thugs. And he put us in a van, and we went and picked up old people. And some could barely hold their bladders. They might soil themselves leaving the voting booth. We'll walk them in and walk them out. And I'd just like to say, whoever broadcasts any tape of those young men and women that ignored their worst possible inclinations, they never hurt those old people, They never took anything from them. They got them off and got them back safely. How dare you describe them? How dare you cheapen their work by calling them thugs? I dare you. I might have been cool with you until you tried that because I know the memory of James Orange, whose children and wife are sitting here. I know how much they gave up their father to the world to teach young men like me how to organize. I know how it changed the lives of 5 Crips. I know how when I walked up these steps, the last conversation I had before I said this was a young man. He said, Mike, oh man, he was so well dressed he could have been a model. He said, I did 15 years in federal prison. Somebody in City Hall decided to give me a chance. And now I'm a coordinator for the homeless in this city. That's what you're giving away in Atlanta when you give up this black woman if you don't vote for her. Love and respect to her.
Who we standing with? Who we standing with? Who we standing with? I can't hear you. Who we standing with? Come on up, Keisha. Come on up.
I don't even know how to follow this power that has been spoken over me and over this city today. And when I ran up here, I just got so full. Seeing my colleagues, seeing my friends, seeing my family, seeing my classmates, seeing all of you all. You get it. You get it. And I look at my mother, and I'm not going to look at her too long. And I am just reminded of what happens when we believe the best in our children. And I am not a perfect person, but I do serve a perfect God. When I woke up this morning at 2:15 and I couldn't sleep last night because there was something on the news that was unfavorable, and I'm getting more and more used to that because it seems like the daggers are coming every single day, every single minute, every single hour.
No weapons. No weapons.
And I was reminded it was on November 30th, 2015 that I sat in Impact Church, and my mother was sitting next to me, and I had the confirmation from God that I needed, that this is what I was supposed to do. And I was so full when I received that confirmation that I couldn't get up when church was over because it was so heavy on my spirit that I should run for mayor. And it was heavy on my spirit because I guess God was preparing me for this heavy lift that we have ahead of us. But I'm reminded that the weapons will form, but they will not prosper. That's right. And I'm reminded that this is about the generations. It's not about us standing here today. It's about our children's 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 children. And all I can say to Atlanta is while we are sitting around playing checkers, somebody across the street is playing chess. Somebody in the White House is playing chess. So when my opponent didn't denounce racial profiling, you know why she didn't denounce it? Because she had to go back and check with her base and make sure it was okay for her to say that she had a problem with it. So when she didn't denounce Donald Trump, it was because it did not agree with her base. That same base who's pouring in money and playing the same tricks. When I listened to the tape, it sounded like the 47% Mitt Romney tape. When I listen to the tape, whenever you start off a tape and you say, "Don't tape me," you know you're about to say something that you shouldn't say. And when I listen to that tape and I hear you talking about thugs and I hear you talking about people from the housing projects exercising their right to vote as if they've done something wrong, then you are disgracing the memory of everybody who stands here and everybody whose parents stood so that we could stand here. That's what's at stake in this city. And the personalities will be long gone And our children will judge us on the decisions that we are making about this city. And it doesn't mean that I have a perfect personality. My mother reminds me all the time that I need to smile more. But I said to her, I said, Mama, they are coming for my life. I said, they are coming for our lives right now. They are trying to take us out because it's bigger than us. This is about taking over the city of Atlanta, the home of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And that's not a racial conversation. What that is about somebody who respects and at least understands and acknowledges who we are as a city, who we are as a people, and what our hopes and dreams are for our children. And so I just thank you all for being here. And I cannot thank my colleagues enough for standing with me. And I cannot thank my friends from across at the Capitol who are standing with me, because I know that you all are getting the emails, you're getting the phone calls, and people are saying, why are you with her? And I just thank you all for being bigger than me, bigger than this moment. I just thank you all for doing this for the generations. So on December 5th, we got one more day. We have the rest of this day and one more day of early voting. On December 5th, let us all claim what God has already proclaimed for us, and that is the victory. Thank you. And I'm sorry, I have to say one more thing, because I didn't say the most important thing. I didn't talk about my husband and my children, and I'm just going to end with this. I have a husband who gets up every single day and wants the best for his family. And he looked at me the other day, and I asked him, I said, how do you feel that they're calling us crooks? And he said to me, he said, only one of us can afford to be, I'm not going to use some language in front of my mother, only one of us can afford to be really mad right now, and I'm going to hold mine until after the election. But what makes us so angry is that when you call us out for having the audacity to achieve something in this city, what you are saying to every child in this city is you don't deserve to have the same things that my children have.
That's right.
So I want us to be very careful, because this coded language and these subtleties aren't so subtle anymore. Because I stand with a group of people each and every day in the Atlanta City Council who get up and they work really hard every day. And they don't take anything in return, and they don't expect anything in return. And this notion that you cannot be an African American in this city and serve in government and not be corrupt needs to stop right now.
Yes. That's right.
Because you want good people to serve in your government. You want people who have a heart for their communities. And what really makes me angry is when I think about my children, and I think about this narrative, and I think about the narrative that their teachers are reading about my husband and I. And that makes me angry, and I'm glad that it makes all of you all angry, and I hope that it makes our communities angry. Because if we don't take this seriously, we will wake up, and this knot that we had in our stomach last November is going to be the knot that we have in our stomachs over the next 4 years. Thank you, Atlanta.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Go vote.
Everybody go vote. Go vote.
Today, tomorrow. Tuesday.
And you know what? I didn't tell her. So we're going to do it at 9.